I'm Addison, and I'm 9 years older than my little sister Evelyn. From the moment Evelyn entered the world, it was evident to everyone that she was special. At least, that's how her parents saw it. They would often marvel at her striking green eyes and her shiny golden curls, while I would linger in the background, a girl with plain brown hair and an unremarkable face, watching as they showered her with attention. Don't misunderstand. I loved Evelyn deeply. She was this adorable, flawless little person who demanded a great deal of care, especially since our parents were often busy working extended hours to make ends meet. Consequently, the responsibility of looking after her often fell on me. Addison, honey, can you help Evelyn with her homework? You're so good at math. Or, Addison, dear, would you mind picking her up from school? We're still at work, were common requests from our mom. I remember one evening when I was 15 and Evelyn was 7. I was juggling her reading assignment with my pile of homework. I don't want to read anymore, Evelyn complained, pushing her book away and declaring it boring. I coaxed her. Come on, Evelyn, just 3 more pages, then we can play your favorite game. She reluctantly resumed, but not without grumbling. You're no fun, Addison. Lydia's big sister takes her to the park every day after school. I had to remind her. Well, Lydia's big sister doesn't have to work at the library after school like I do, although her words did sting a little. Life continued this way, with Evelyn being the center of attention and me fulfilling the role of whatever everyone else needed. By 17, I was juggling 3 jobs: a cafe in the morning, the library after school, and online data entry at night. All this effort was to support Evelyn's dance lessons, private tutoring, and the stylish clothes that made her the most popular girl at school. I kept telling myself things would improve, that Evelyn would one day recognize and value all I did for her, and perhaps our parents would see me with the same pride they showed her. When college application time came, I had my hopes momentarily lifted. My good grades and multiple job stints had earned me several scholarship offers, including one from Stanford. You got accepted to Stanford? My mom exclaimed, a flicker of surprise in her eyes which quickly dimmed as reality set in. But who will help Evelyn with her college prep? And you know we can't afford that kind of tuition. Holding the acceptance letter in my hands, I stood in our kitchen, realizing that no matter the scholarships, the familial expectations wouldn't allow it. So, without mentioning the partial scholarship I was offered, I enrolled at a local city college, maintained my jobs, and continued to support Evelyn. During my freshman year, my routine was grueling. Classes in the morning, work in the afternoon, and evenings spent helping Evelyn with her homework. Nights often stretched until 2 a.m. as I tried to complete my assignments, only to wake up at 4 a.m. for my cafe shift. After graduation, I secured a decent job at an accounting firm and moved into a small 2-bedroom apartment with quirky plumbing. It wasn't much, but it was a space of my own, a long-awaited breath of freedom after years of self-sacrifice and putting others first. But there it was, my tiny apartment, and I thought this might mark a new beginning, a chance to focus on my life for once. Then the phone call came that swept me back into the old patterns. It was about Evelyn's graduation dress. Honey, my mom began in that all-too-familiar pleading tone, you know how important this is to your sister. She needs to look perfect for her graduation. A laugh, tinged with bitterness, escaped me as I remembered my graduation attire, a $25 dress from the clearance rack that, as luck would have it, Margaret also chose that day. I'd spent my entire graduation trying to dodge cameras to avoid being photographed next to her. How much does she want for the dress? I asked, my hand already on my credit card. Well, she found this gorgeous designer dress. It's only $1,000. My coffee nearly went down the wrong pipe. $1,000? That was nearly a month's rent. Yet I heard myself say, okay, Mom, I'll transfer the money. But the surprises didn't stop there. It turned out Evelyn had been accepted into Preston University, one of the priciest private colleges around. At a family dinner, my dad proudly revealed they had been saving for her tuition since she was born. Our little girl deserves the best education possible, he said. I sat there, fork in hand, frozen in shock as I thought about the student loans still hanging over my head, the scholarships I had declined, and the years I spent working multiple jobs to scrape through public college. And then, as Evelyn started at Preston, the financial requests began to roll in. Addison, sweetie. My mom would start. Evelyn needs help with her apartment rent until she gets settled. Then it was textbooks, then a MacBook because all the other students have one, then a new iPhone because her old one, the one I had bought last year, was embarrassing. Food money, clothes money. Every week brought a new crisis, a new emergency, a new reason why Evelyn needed my help. Throughout it all, not once did Evelyn say thank you, nor did she acknowledge the sacrifices I was making. To her, I was merely the family ATM, endlessly dispensing whatever she needed. 4 years later, I was at my kitchen table reviewing my monthly budget when my phone rang again. My mom's voice was unusually chipper. Addison, you need to come over right now. Evelyn has big news. When I arrived, Evelyn was practically vibrating with excitement, showing off a giant diamond ring. I'm getting married, she exclaimed, and I'm leaving college. The room fell silent for a moment before I found my voice. You're what? Her casual dismissal of college as boring and the revelation of her plans to marry into wealth felt like a sucker punch. Liam makes great money, and we're going to have the most amazing wedding, she continued, oblivious to my dismay. I felt as if I was submerged underwater, drowning in the realization of how much had been wasted, my time, my money, my sacrifices. I looked to my parents for any sign of understanding or sympathy, but they were beaming at Evelyn as if she had just made the most splendid announcement. What about your degree? I managed to choke out. We've all invested so much in. Oh my God, Addison, you're such a buzzkill. Evelyn cut me off, rolling her eyes. This is why you're still single. You're always so practical and boring. As she went on about her dream wedding plans, detailing a lavish affair that would eclipse any scene before, my heart sank further. The venue, the flowers, the dress, everything had to be perfect, and by perfect, she meant expensive. Then my dad, clearing his throat, dropped yet another bombshell. Honey, we've taken out a loan. But there I was part of a conversation that felt surreal. As my sister Evelyn casually mentioned that $18,000 should cover my share of her wedding expenses, it was as if she were asking for spare change for coffee. I'm not sure why I agreed. Maybe it was out of habit, the emotional pull from my mom's tear-filled eyes, or perhaps it was simply easier than causing a conflict. Regardless, I transferred the money the next day. However, my family's requests didn't stop there. At the next family dinner, my mom suggested, actually, sweetie, we've been thinking. You could take out a loan too, just a small one to help with the extra wedding expenses. For the first time in my life, something within me snapped. No, I said firmly. Absolutely not. I'm saving for a mortgage. I need to think about my future too. Evelyn's face contorted with disbelief. Since when did you become so selfish? She demanded. I stood my ground, my hands trembling slightly under the table. I've given you $18,000, Evelyn. That's my limit. The silence that followed felt like an eternity. Then, in that placating tone I knew all too well, my mom spoke up. If you won't help financially anymore, the least you can do is help with the arrangements. I nodded, feeling the familiar burden of responsibility settling back onto my shoulders. But internally, something had shifted. For the first time, I had said no. It was a small victory, but it felt monumental. The following weeks turned into a relentless barrage of demands. My phone was inundated with messages from Evelyn, each one requesting more funds for some new, essential wedding detail. Addison, I found the perfect flowers. They're only $4,000 for the arrangements. I need the money by tomorrow. Oh my God. This band is amazing. They played at Chelsea's wedding, and I have to have them. They're asking for $6,000. Can you transfer the money tonight? The venue I wanted is available, but we need to put down a deposit today. It's just $65,000. You'll handle it, right? Driven by necessity, I took on a second job as a virtual assistant, my days blurring into an endless cycle of my accounting work, squeezing in wedding planning during scarce lunch breaks, and more screen time at night. One day, Margaret, a coworker, stopped me in the break room. Addison, are you okay? You look different. I caught my reflection in the window. Dark circles under my eyes, clothes loose from weight loss, hair hastily pulled back. I hadn't had time for a haircut in ages. I'm fine, I lied automatically, just busy with my sister's wedding. That night, as I crawled into bed at 2 a.m., my phone lit up again with another message from Evelyn. I just found the most amazing ice sculpture for the reception, which was only $3,100. Need the money by morning, or they'll sell it to someone else. I turned off my phone and buried my face in my pillow, tears of exhaustion threatening to spill. The expenses had already piled up. Venue, catering, flowers, band, and yet the demands kept coming. A week later, my mom called. "Honey, we need to have a serious family discussion. Can you come over tonight?" I dragged myself to their house after work, my mind racing with dread over what more they could possibly ask of me. My savings were depleted, and my credit card was maxed out, but I clung to the hope that soon it would all be over. When I entered the house, I found Evelyn lounging on the couch, her lap buried under a stack of travel magazines. Mom and Dad sat next to her, absorbed in a glossy catalog, seemingly sharing her excitement. Evelyn's eyes lit up as she pointed to a page featuring luxurious overwater bungalows complete with private butlers for each suite. I paused in the doorway, a familiar sense of dread settling in as I watched the scene unfold. "What's going on?" I managed, my voice barely steady. "Why did you call me over here?" Evelyn glanced up, her smile sugary sweet, the kind I had learned to associate with impending demands. "Oh, we're just picking out your wedding gift for us," she said nonchalantly. "My what?" I stuttered, incredulous. "Your wedding gift," she repeated slowly as if talking to someone who struggled with basic comprehension. "I've decided you're going to pay for our honeymoon in Paris." The room seemed to spin as I gripped the doorframe for support. "Are you kidding me? After everything I've already paid for?" "Oh, come on, Addison." Mom chimed in, her tone dismissive. "Don't be dramatic." "Dramatic?" My voice cracked under the strain. "I've spent every penny I have on this wedding." "Well, it's not like you have anything else to spend it on," Evelyn retorted with a shrug. "And it's only $30,000. Something inside me snapped. For 30 years, I had played the roles of the good daughter, the supportive sister, and the human ATM. But I could take no more. "Only $30,000? I yelled. "Do you have any idea what I've sacrificed for your wedding? Any idea at all?" "Addison, lower your voice," Dad warned. "No, I will not lower my voice. I'm done. I'm absolutely done with all of this." My body shook as years of repressed anger and resentment surged to the surface. "You're nothing but a spoiled, arrogant brat, Evelyn, and I'm sick of catering to your endless demands. I have my own life to think about." Evelyn's expression twisted into a sneer. "Your own life? What life? You're 30, Addison. An old maid. Have you looked in the mirror lately? No wonder you're single. You look terrible. What normal man would want you?" Her words struck like physical blows, but I stood my ground. "I look terrible because I've been working 3 jobs, 7 days a week, to pay for your wedding. I haven't had a full night's sleep in months because of you." "You're just jealous," Evelyn spat. "Jealous because I'm getting married and you'll die alone. Jealous because I'm beautiful and successful, and you're just you." That was the last straw. "Successful? You dropped out of the college I helped pay for. Beautiful? Your soul is as ugly as they come. You've never worked a day in your life, never thanked me for anything I've done for you. You think the world owes you everything, and you know what? I'm done being part of your entitled little world." I turned and stormed out of the house, Evelyn's voice ringing after me. "You're nothing but an envious witch. No wonder no one will ever marry you." Behind me, I could hear Mom and Dad joining in, hurling accusations and insults at my back. But for the first time in my life, I didn't turn around. I didn't apologize. I didn't give in. By the time I got home that night, my phone was exploding with messages. Mom had sent at least 50 texts, each one more vicious than the last. But I knew something fundamental had changed. For the first time, I had stood up for myself, and despite the pain, it felt like a profound release. Then the last. How dare you speak to your sister that way after everything we've done for you? You're nothing but a selfish, ungrateful daughter. How could you ruin your sister's special day? As I stared at the messages, the words began to blur together. Then I did something I'd never done before, something both terrifying and liberating. I opened my laptop and began sending emails to cancel all the arrangements I had made for Evelyn's wedding. To the venue, I need to cancel the reservation and withdraw my payment. To the florist, please cancel the order for the wedding arrangements. To the catering company, I'm canceling the food service for the following date. To the band, unfortunately, I need to withdraw my booking. One by one, I systematically dismantled the elaborate plans I had financed. My hands shook, but my resolve was clear. The wedding was only 3 weeks away, but I no longer cared. With each cancellation, I felt a weight lifting from my shoulders. Then the backlash began. My phone rang incessantly. When I blocked Mom's number, she started calling from Dad's phone. When I blocked that, she resorted to using their landline. Messages poured in from every possible platform: email, Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp. I blocked them all. Relatives and family friends I hadn't heard from in years, even Evelyn's future in-laws, all reached out. Addison, please call your Aunt Susan. Why won't you answer Uncle Jim's calls? Your cousin Rachel is very upset with you. How could you do this to your sister? I stopped answering my phone entirely. The next escalation came in the form of physical visits. One evening, as I attempted to get some sleep, I was jolted awake by shouting from below my window. Addison, get down here right now. It was Mom's voice, shrill and furious. You better fix this, you selfish witch. Evelyn added. They stood there for hours, alternating between angry demands and tearful pleas. I turned up the TV to drown them out. The next morning, I spoke to Jorge, our building's concierge. Please don't let them in, I requested quietly. I don't care what they say, they're not welcome here. Jorge, who had witnessed their behavior the night before, nodded sympathetically. Don't worry, Miss Robertson. I'll take care of it. A week later, my friend Kelly called, her voice cautious. Have you heard what happened? Your parents had to take out another emergency loan to cover everything you canceled. None of the vendors would do it on such short notice without charging premium rates. They ended up paying almost double for everything. I sat in silence, letting the reality sink in. A part of me felt guilty, a residue of the lifelong conditioning to always make things right for everyone else. But a stronger, newfound part of me knew I had done the right thing. A month after the upheaval, while scrolling through Instagram, I stumbled upon Evelyn's wedding photos. A mutual friend had liked them, and there they were. The lavish wedding she had demanded had been drastically scaled down. Instead of a 5-star hotel, the venue was our parents' backyard. The $4,000 flower arrangements had been replaced by simple bouquets from the grocery store. There was no expensive band, just a laptop and speakers set on a folding table. Evelyn was wearing her dream dress, looking beautiful as ever. Seeing those images, I realized that the wedding, though far from what Evelyn had envisioned, still went on. It was simpler, certainly less grand, but perhaps more meaningful in its way. As for me, standing up for myself had marked a turning point. Despite the family strife, I felt a profound sense of peace knowing I had finally set boundaries, asserting my own needs over the endless demands of others. Every photograph of her carried a subtle unease. Her smile appeared forced, her eyes slightly narrowed in discontent. There were no blissful honeymoon snapshots to speak of. Her dreams seemed to have crumbled alongside her other grand aspirations. As I turned away from the endless scroll of Instagram, I decided it was time to shift my focus back to myself. After years of neglect, I began to embrace a healthier routine, sleeping well, eating right, and gradually returning to my old self. For months post-wedding, a call from my father broke the calm. His voice, weary and aged, conveyed urgency. Addison, he said, we need to talk. Can you come over? Something in his tone compelled me to agree. Upon arriving at my parents' house, the atmosphere felt unusually somber. My parents sat together on the sofa, their expressions deflated. My father broke the silence. Evelyn is getting a divorce. The room filled with a heavy stillness as the words settled like dust. My mother's voice trembled as she added, "They've been at odds since the day they got married." Liam complains constantly about the modesty of the wedding and the embarrassment of not having a real band. He's livid about the honeymoon that never happened. My father, gazing down at his hands, continued, "We took out 3 loans for their wedding. Even the pared-down version has us in deep." As my parents hinted at needing financial help, I intervened. "No," I asserted quietly but firmly. The room fell silent. I continued, "You're my parents, and yes, I am your daughter. The one who juggled 3 jobs to get through college, the one who drained her savings for a wedding that was doomed from the start." My father attempted to acknowledge their missteps. "We realize now we might have been wrong," he admitted cautiously. I stood up, smoothing my skirt. "Might have been? You were wrong about everything. About me, about Evelyn, about money, about life. Maybe one day you'll see just how wrong you were. But until then, good luck with those loans." As I drove away, I caught a fleeting glimpse of them in the rearview mirror, standing small and defeated in their doorway. For the first time, I didn't look back. Life indeed has a unique way of revealing true characters. 8 months after Evelyn's divorce, during a coffee meetup with my friend Kelly, she broached the subject of Evelyn with a careful tone, stirring her latte intensely. "Have you heard about Evelyn?" she asked. I shook my head, having kept a distance since the confrontation. "She moved back in with your parents," Kelly disclosed. "She's not working, claims she's too shaken by the divorce to maintain a job, yet she's been actively dating. Seems like a new guy every week." "And let me guess," I interjected, "my parents are footing all her bills." Kelly nodded. "Yes, they're covering everything, her car, her clothes, her social outings, even with the wedding debts still looming." Life continued to unfold, revealing the stark contrasts in paths and priorities within our family. It's funny how life's patterns can be so predictable, yet still catch you off guard. As weeks stretched into months, I found myself shedding the weight of a second job, which allowed me to pour my energy into my primary career for the first time in years. I started taking better care of myself, joining a yoga class, getting regular haircuts, and even refreshing my wardrobe with clothes meant for more than just work. Friends and colleagues began to notice the change, often commenting on how different I looked. Then, out of the blue, I received a call that I never saw coming. It was my mom, her voice timid and almost unrecognizable. "Addison, I need to tell you something." "I owe you an apology," she said. I braced myself for what was next. "Evelyn, she met someone, a wealthy businessman. She left with him yesterday, and we don't know where they've gone. But before she left, she maxed out all our credit cards, every single one." The silence that followed was heavy. "Mom," I began, but she cut me off. "No, please let me finish. Your father and I are in terrible debt now, but we're not calling to ask for money. We'll figure this out on our own. We should have done that a long time ago. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything." It wasn't a perfect apology, and it certainly didn't undo years of favoritism and manipulation, but it was a start. These days, I'm not sure where Evelyn is. Sometimes I catch glimpses of her on social media, a tagged photo or a location check-in, like a ghost drifting aimlessly from one place to another, from one person to the next. My interactions with my parents have dwindled to brief exchanges on holidays. Merry Christmas, Happy Birthday, Happy New Year. It's all quite superficial, but it's all I can manage at the moment. However, here's the real takeaway about breaking free from toxic cycles. Life has a remarkable way of filling the voids left behind with something better. About 4 months ago, I met Benjamin in a bookstore coffee shop. He was reading my favorite novel, and our conversation sparked instantly. He's kind and successful in his own right, and most importantly, he sees me for who I truly am. Last night, while sorting through some old boxes, I found a childhood photo of Evelyn and me. She was 6, I was 12, and we both were smiling innocently at the camera, oblivious to the complexities the future held. I considered keeping it, but eventually put it back. Some memories are best left untouched. Now, as I sit here in my favorite coffee shop, with Benjamin across from me working on his laptop and occasionally looking up to share a smile, I've come to a profound realization. Sometimes, the real happy ending isn't about achieving everything you once thought you wanted. It's about letting go of the things that were holding you back.